Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. Couple of comments. Just a dad who loves toys more than his kids do. I relate to that. Welcome, man. I do have a special guest this evening. Everyone, welcome Engineer Hoist. I do have a special guest this evening.
How's it
Everyone,
going,
welcome Engineer Hoist.
Hang on,
I do have a special guest this evening. Wasn't me this time.
I had the live stream going, so I was hearing an echo. Sorry.
All good.
Rookie.
So, Hoist, have you been on one of these?
No, I haven't been on. I've watched a couple.
Okay. So, depending on how many people come, I usually like to get the audience kind of involved a little bit. Little like, what do you think we should do with this? What do you think we should do with this? Sometimes it comes up with some weird stuff. Hey, Raz. Sometimes I do this with no idea in my brain at all until people start throwing out ideas. But tonight is a little bit different because I was at, there was a store. You might remember this store. Do you remember a store long ago called Starland?
Not really.
I don't know how big the chain was. They were like an EB Games or a GameStop before GameStop wiped everything out and ruined the entire industry. But it was a place called Starland. Well, that place went under decades ago. And probably 10 years ago, maybe, a store opened up the street from me called Starland. And it's basically, they turned Starland into an online business. And the store that I have is actually their warehouse. But you can go in there and buy stuff. And it's weird because when you buy things, you have to like go to the computer and log into the website and purchase.
Still buying it online.
You're still kind of buying it online. If you want to look anything up in the warehouse, you have to go log into the website to find the stuff. It's weird. But we went there, and this place has tons of old vintage video games and stuff. But they oddly have a whole lot of like statues and old anime merch, some new stuff. And there was an anime that I absolutely love called Gurren Lagann. You ever seen that one?
No, I think it sounds familiar. I think I've heard of it.
So it's really good, and I really like it. And there's a weird premise about spirals and drills, and I don't know. And I started thinking about it, and I think what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to use Bulkhead as a base because he's got about the biggest forearms of the figure. And if we use the measurements for him, I am going to make drill fists. And I'm going to try to make them rotate.
Wow.
So
that would be pretty awesome.
Just a dad knows what I'm talking about. So if I can do this right, I'm stealing a couple of pieces from Roller to do this. So I've already got them loaded up. So I'm going to jump over to the screenshot. And so what I've done is I've taken what is essentially the axle to the base roller, the unadulterated axle, as in this is it before it goes through a few changes to actually work correctly with roller. And then the very basic base of the roller wheel. The reason I'm doing that is because the inside of this roller wheel, if I change this to transparent, you can kind of see it a little bit better, is already set to accept this shaft.
That makes sense.
Now, I have done this before only once as a test, and I never put it out there, but you don't actually have to keep this open. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take this right here, and I'm going to, if I extend it, things might get weird, but I'm going to try it anyway. We're going to extend this up. So the internal diameter of the shaft and everything is going to be the same. But it should allow for this hollow section here to flow farther down this shaft because I don't want it to just clip right to the edge. So now we got to do something with this. So let's see if we can't make this a drill. So while I'm doing this, we do have a fellow printer in the party. Since Hoist here has finally succumbed to me dropping links constantly for people to buy new printers.
Yep.
And is experimenting with his own.
Yep. Yeah, I took advantage of the Prime Day deals, and it was delivered on Thursday. Got it set up today. Made my first print was the Dino dentures from our lovely Firetox right here. So
Let me blow you.
Grimlock's got a new set of front teeth.
Let me see. How do I blow somebody else up? I can't tell. Hold on. We do this. No, that's not how you do it. Well, you can see it a little bit better. So, yep, that's the top dino dentures for Grimlock.
Yep.
They printed really good.
Yeah. Yeah, overall the print that I did was okay. It was just like the really tough parts where it was like having to jump the gaps where I got the stringing and like the jumping from a lot of jumps where I had the extrusion problem. But other than that, the print was generally pretty good. So if a small part like that came out good.
So you will find, and you can actually do this in Cura. I don't do it, but you can actually fine tune your settings for every filament that you buy.
Oh, I was just looking at that earlier. And,
I don't do it because I've noticed that from one roll to another, it changes from the same company. Like their mix will change slightly, or it was more humid the day they spooled it out.
Yeah, well, I do think it's going to be helpful for what I did. Larkin suggested like the PLA Plus, so I got some of that, and that does have a little bit of a higher temperature. So
yeah, I definitely recommend using the PLA Plus.
Yeah, because I think the generic one was set to have a temperature of 200, and that needs like 210.
Yeah, I've got some of them that say they want to print at like 205, but if you try to print it at 205, you're going to string mess everywhere. I've got one of them I can't print above 190 without it making a mess, even though it says to print it at 205.
Yeah, I've got competing problems. I've got the part with the extrusion problem where probably needs a little bit higher temperature. Then I got the stringing problem, which kind of needs a lower temperature. So there's something else I got to figure out.
Yeah, that does happen, and it's all trial and error. And
I figured.
I used to print those test cubes for every roll I had.
Mm-hmm.
And then any change, if it didn't work right, I'd print another one, but I'd change the settings. And then I would write on the actual cube itself what the temperature was I was printing it at. And then you just have kind of like a little sample set so you already know.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel like trying to remember to change the filament profile every single time.
Right. Well, it turns out, if you choose some of the profiles, it even gives you like a not supported error. I mean, you could still use it, but you kind of got that error. I looked that up, and they said, well, just make a duplicate of it and trick it out and say it's one of the generic ones.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, so it's like the PLA Plus. I just copied that over, changed the type to PLA. I would think all the settings were still the same, and then that worked fine. It just didn't like the fact that you were calling it PLA Plus.
That's very strange.
Yeah.
Some of those different settings in there I don't really mess with much. Like I set up my generic for my Ender 3 Pro, and then I used to use a modified Ender 3 Pro for my Tronxy printers because they didn't have a profile. And then finally somebody made a profile, so I use that for the Tronxy printers. So let's see, what's going to be the best way to do this? Because I want to cut that out of there. So let's do this. Use a cone. It needs way more sides. It needs to be smooth. How tall is this? 33. Let's make you 30. 20. Yeah, 30. 30. I'm not actually going to keep that 30, actually. Let's make that like 26. And so in Tinkercad, If you choose to use this, which, like I said before, if you get used to using this, it makes the other ones a lot harder. Because this is literally using shapes, cutting and pasting, whereas the other ones is more CAD driven, or
Right.
even a couple of them are more sculpting, almost like clay.
Right.
Which is great for organic stuff, but I have no idea how to do it.
Yeah, I'm sure I wouldn't do well with that.
Let's see, more shapes I need. So in here, there's a ton of these like shape generators that are nice for certain things. Like everyone sees me use this little whatever this thing's called all the time. I use that for venting on toys all the time. So is this a 3D printing program, and what is the best, cheaper 3D printer? This is a 3D modeling program that is free and is online based. You could use this to model things for anything you really want once you export them out of this website. I use them for 3D printing. The best, cheaper 3D printer is going to depend on you. It depends on what you want to do with it, how big you want. If you want resin, or do you want filament? Do you want one that's quiet? Do you care? There's a lot of things that factor into that. The printers that I run are Tronxy XY2 Pros. One of them is a Titan extruder. The other is not. The one that's a Titan extruder is giving me a bunch of problems. They are, if you can get a deal to work right, as in if there's a coupon plus another deal on Amazon. Last year I got both of these for less than $100. That's kind of rare. Or you can get an Ender 3 or an Ender 3 Pro. If you have a Micro Center near you, sometimes they have deals where if you're a new member of their little program, that you can get one of these for like $100, and they're pretty decent. They are kind of noisy, and I have a bunch of upgrades that I'm putting on this one to quiet it down and change some things. So it really depends on what you want. I'm not going to tell you to go out and, you have to buy this printer, because that printer may work for me and not work for what you want. It also depends on what kind of stuff you want to print. You're not going to get a low-end printer that can print in ABS, but most people don't print in ABS anymore. It requires a lot higher temperatures, and it also requires ventilation because of fumes. Raz, it's always fascinating to see how you start from something and remove stuff from it to get what you need. I always figured it was the other way around. It can go both ways. For what I'm about to do is I'm basically going to make a mold to cut something out with. Hey, elites.
Yeah, well, one thing I've definitely found since I started really getting serious about it is it's a huge learning curve. I mean, so you got to start in a program like Tinkercad or something, but then you got to go to a whole nother program to slice it, basically so you can tell your printer how to print it, and then of course you got to have the printer, and there's a whole nother set of issues along with that, and yeah, it's crazy. It's cool. I'm looking forward to getting more into it and learning more about it.
I can do this. Or is this going to be even easier than I thought it was going to be? You know what? I think I'm going to do this. So there's already a predefined drill in here.
I was just going to say, I totally missed how you did that.
So over here, there's this predefined drill. I wasn't going to use this. What I was actually looking for is there is a screw threads option, which we may go that route anyway, because I don't know if I'm going to like how this turns out. Just simply because that's a lot of very pointed area, and it's going to get rounded off just because of the nature of 3D printing. I don't know if I'm going to like that. But somewhere in this shape generator, there is a very specific little coil that is a screw thread, and you can taper it. And I was going to taper it. Is that it? Screw threads. Here we go. So here's screw threads here. And let's see. I don't remember. So it wants to be square, though, so that might not work right. if I align those and then I change the radius. Now the radius thing gets annoying. Hold on. Go to there. And then I can go. It gets a little wonky. And I thought it had an option to taper it, but it doesn't look like it does. So it doesn't look like that's going to work anyway.
It's a good idea.
I know. There is this helix. That might work. If I take this helix, I drop it to here. So if you're ever doing this, you hold shift, it makes everything scale when you enlarge it.
Okay. Yeah. So it kind of like locks the proportions.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if I pull the bottom radius in, and pull the top radius in, I may not like this either. No, I don't like how that looks either. All right, we'll just go with the pre-built screw for this part anyway.
That doesn't look too bad. I know what you're saying about the print, though.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this drill. When you're using this thing, it's going to either be a solid or a hole. Change that into a hole, and then I'm going to combine these. And now this basically cut a mold into this cylinder, which is the same size as these two are. So if I select this, turn the whole thing into a cut, go to here, align this to this. Now everything's all kind of a mess. Select, if I select everything right now, it's going to basically get screwed up by how I did that. So I need to
think your internal hole is a little bit too high.
Right. And I meant for this to happen this way because I wanted it to have the hub be still rounded.
Right.
So now if I select all of this, this should... You see I need to fix something there because that's wonky as hell. And I know exactly what that is too. That is from this. If you double click, it undoes the joining of them, so you can make fine tuning.
Oh.
And then when you click off, it goes back to where it was. What I think happened is I think this here. I'm just going to move that out of the way. I think one of these I may not have had set to 64 sides. So you'll get stuff like this if you have more sides in one cylinder than the other. The geometry won't quite work itself out, which is what I think happened here. Let's see if we turn this down. That almost looks perfect right there. Actually, I can just move that. Turn this back to a solid, non-transparent so you can see what I'm doing. No, it was 64 sides. So that's very strange. It might be the rotation. So as you can see, this doesn't make it completely smooth.
Right. It's like polygons or something.
It's polygoned. You can do ones that that are tighter, but it's usually stuff that's made by other people. It's not made by like actual Tinkercad.
Right.
So I may need to just make this non-transparent, change the color, and then rotate this. There it goes. That's why. There was a slight rotation on one of them. Now you see how it kind of glitches out because it doesn't wants to show you. That means that you've got it lined up. But if you can look close, you can see the sides aligned now.
Always something.
It is literally always something. Let me see. It doesn't auto scale. Nothing is automatic in this. All right. So if let's center everything.
Yeah, if you want your program to help you out, you need to go drop $1,000 a year.
Exactly. There are programs that'll do it, but they're going to cost you. There we go. Perfect. Now let's see what happens.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talking about Fusion 360, and that seems like a pretty cool one. But I did notice that even though they have the free version, that's only for personal use, and I don't want to go learn something if I ultimately end up wanting to sell things.
So a Tinkercad here is for personal use.
Right.
But I'm not a business. Not really.
Yeah.
Like I'm not breaking banks on this kind of thing, so I don't. It might be against their policy, but whatever.
You didn't read it?
No. So there is something a little bit funky going on here if you look. It's like it's not actually quite centered. And this happens a lot in this program because the way this thing centers is I click here and I rotate, it's going to rotate from dead center, which is good and bad, because then sometimes you get where because of these coils, the left to right dead center and the top to bottom, or the X dead center and the Y dead center, might be one of them is like if let me make a copy of this thing because I'm going to tear it back apart to show you what I mean. Stop it. Does this thing sometimes when you double click it. So if I go back in here, then let's pull. So you notice those two numbers are different.
Right.
So we've got 19.45 and 19.47. That happens when there's 2 points that aren't quite on the same radius. So sometimes things with like odd numbers will do that. So like this is a 7 points twist. If I change it, let's change it to a 6. Hey, damn it. So now it's a 6-point twist. I may be able to turn it so it changes every time I turn it.
Uh-huh.
And there's one of two things you can do. You can either sit here and try to find it to where it's perfect, and then which is what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it to there because that's pretty close. But then I am just going to change one side to match the other. Let's see, 19. Let's do 19.32 on this one. You won't even notice that. Stop it. Recenter that. And then recenter everything to here. Select all that. Do it there. And when this is done, take the transparency away. Now There shouldn't be, yeah, all the points line up right. None of them have this weird artifact here.
Right. A nice Christmas tree of death there.
Nice Christmas tree of death. So the way this is going to work when I do this is, and I like to do things like this when I'm making weapons. Make this back to transparent so I can show you. So this, when I align this, and I'm only aligning this for, realistically, I'm only aligning this for while I'm building it. The alignment will change a little bit in the final print. So I messed up here. So if you notice, because of the way I stretched it,
Yeah, you need to open it up a little bit more.
I got to open it up a little bit more. But I wanted to make sure was I had enough clearance in here, which is, that's good.
Yeah.
So let me spin that. This is going to be a 6x6 because I remember. Let's rotate you this way. Align this to this because it's already lined up with the other thing. Damn, that almost hit perfect. There we go. So now I'm going to cut that out. So now when this clicks in, there's a little bit of room here. There's enough of this to keep it stable. And now that I have this alignment here, I don't need the back part of this. Because the way I'm going to have to print this to make it strong is, let me put a block here. So the way I'm going to have to print this is I'm going to have to take this here, print that like that. Easy enough. No infill. Or no, I'm sorry, not no infill. No, no supports, because the supports will get up in the shaft and it'll mess you up.
Right.
I'm going to make a duplicate of this part here because what I'm going to have to do with this is I'm going to have to make that hole, select you, cut you out. The reason I did that is because I'm actually going to print this piece like this. But I'm going to cut the bottom off of it like that. Which just, might actually have to cut a little bit more, but it, have to focus, just makes that flat. Yeah, I'm going to cut a little bit more off of it actually. I think, no, 1 millimeter is fine. Works for the roller. Drop that. Now the reason I cut this here, and this will change, is I'm going to print this like this like this, and then whatever we do with the part that's going to go on the hand, we'll print like this, so that the pins, the 5 millimeter peg, will print as strong as possible. And then when we're done, all we got to do, print all 3 pieces. This is now keyed. So if I duplicate you, do this, select the orange one. Wait, no, not the orange one. I want to select a hole, change that one into a hole, then I do this. That now is keyed.
Right.
So if I should take this and I shove this into here, it'll never turn. Take this, drop it onto here, and it will spin free. So now that I have all that, all I have to do is figure out what I want this to look like. So that's pretty much done. This is pretty much done. Some things I got to remember is how deep I made that peg, which I'm fine with that. And then I'm going to have to take some measurements off of bulkhead because I want this to go probably to about there. So let's see. The way I usually do this is I take a cut piece, which is what these are here. And as I take measurements, I'm going to make this the shape that I need to be cut out. So like his forearm is almost exactly 20 millimeters across. So this needs to be like 24. Because you do not want this to sit too tight on the bot. So it's going to go that way. And then I figure from the post to his knuckles, it's going to be about 5.5. But I want it to go to there. So say 25. And this direction here won't matter. It'll be as big as I want it to be because it's going to slide down like this. So I need one side of this to be open. So we just take this, align that to there. I'm going to raise that up until I know I've got enough clearance for when this prints. So to there. And now, so long, I can actually take this apart, take this block out of here. So anything I now make, as long as it fits the way we're doing this, and as long as it's kind of centered, anything I make that goes around this and then punches out the hole will be fine. So let's see here. And then I'll check the alignment with this. So let's see. How crazy do I want to go with this? Little that, little of that. Maybe go up to there. It's only 18, but I don't need to completely cut that off. Oh shit, 18 will work. So I'll go 19, 20. I mean, it doesn't need to be that thick. Drop that. Grab one of these. Let's do 24 by 24. That there. Bring that down. Drop this 24 too. 26. Yeah, doesn't matter. Let's see. Put a little bevel on that. Just because I like to stretch that down and it'll look like that. Now this thing is 19 by 19, so that's probably too much of a bevel. So maybe do that. It should line up a little bit better. Let me look at the chat real quick. This looks pretty good. Thank you. Control Z saves lives. Yes, it does. It has to be very precise. My OCD would love to play with this. You say that until you spend like 8 hours making a handle. I've done that. It is not fun. So are you making some Simon's drill? Not quite. It's just kind of like, I saw a bunch of their stuff today and was like, I want to make some drill punchers. Wait, I missed a part. Are you making an adapter for the alt mode to carry the drill? No. This is just bot mode fun. There's no place left on Bulkhead to hang anything anyway. Between the ball hand, his shield part, and then if you have my minigun, you put the minigun on top. There is no pegs left on it. All right, so do that, do that, do that, do that. This is pretty boring though. So let's see. Take these steps down, change this radius to be a bit more fun. Drag this down because I'm going to cut all that off anyway. That looks a little bit funky, but that's all right. I'm going to duplicate it, bring it out to 25, drop it down, boop, boop. Take the side back out of that, check that bevel out, rotate that to the flat side. That looks a little bit better.
I'll be
Mike, yes. All right, man. Mike, yes, kind of. Let's see. We use one of my favorite parts because I put vents on goddamn everything. And this thing's going to put out a lot of heat, right? Oh, shit. Click. Clicking. There we go. Hell, we might just go for the easy run and just make this whole side a vent. Let's change. That's going to be a hole. Perfect. Duplicate. Flip it. Align it to that side. Pull it out one. I mean, shit. That could almost be good right there. See what it looks like. I hate when it does that multiple color crap. It doesn't look bad. Now, I don't think the hole in Bulkhead's hand is centered, which is why sometimes I don't put all around. Like the Fry Flinger doesn't wrap all the way around because not all of the holes in their hands are centered to their forearms. So if you want it to be universal, you kind of can't do that. But I don't want this to be quite universal. So let's see. If I measure out, what do we say? That's about 20. And then I'm going to eyeball that. Edge of that is 9.1. So if I do say this is going to drop onto the top of his fist, this is going to be the post. This doesn't need to be more than probably 14. All the sides. Bevel of about 2 is what I usually use. which won't matter here in a second. Change that to 5 millimeters. 5 millimeters. I'm going to cut 0.5 millimeter off on both sides. Or the top and the bottom. Just makes this easier for the supports to fix it. Ah, shit. D drops. Flattens that off a bit. Now, if this is going to say, this is going to go in his hands, I need the 9. I'm going to line that up so that it's touching there. Nine, and then it was 0.1, so 0.25. A gap that I need to keep from the top of the peg to the front of his knuckles. Call it 5.5. So raise this up till it about touches, and then I'm going to drop it. And 6. 7, because it's better to be too far away than too close. Now, this is where you're going to have to do some test prints, because I have both sides enclosed. The only way I am ever going to know if it actually fits right is going to be to print it and try to shove it on his arm. Because the other thing that's a little bit odd is... Okay, no, it's not quite centered. It just looks a little bit centered. So let's see if stretch you out just a little. Connect all of you. Stop doing some multicolor. I hate multicolor. All right, there we go. We'll do some dress up stuff here in a minute, but first, I'm going to make everything transparent so I can do the alignments. And I usually use duplicate parts when I do the alignment, so I can just delete them. Raise that up until it's about right at the bottom of that hole. Duplicate you. That up. Now, doing alignments with these shafts having that edge cut off makes it a little bit difficult. You have to kind of fiddle with it because the center of that cylinder is not actually the center anymore. It's shifted over here.
Right.
So just sit that there. It's gonna have to be a 0.5 millimeter increment, as I can tell. That'll probably do it. That gap is a little bit bigger than I wanted it to be. It doesn't need to rub, but that is a little bit bigger than I wanted it to be. So to do that, I may have to say if I shift that down to there, shift that down to where that's supposed to be. Now the nice thing is, because I just shifted all that around, I can just move that out of the way. This is already aligned, make it a hole, select that and punch a new hole. But you can see where it wasn't quite exactly lined up with where the old hole was.
Yeah.
Because it put a lip in there. Which is whatever. You just back that back off. And then I'm going to make this a different color so at least I can make out what I'm doing. Let's blow this thing back apart. Now this is where order of operation comes in, because I'm going to undo all of the stuff I did just so I can go in and remove the original cut in favor of this lower one. Make sure this is centered on this. But I don't want to just select all of this and cut it all out, because then it will cut out my peg. So I'm going to select all of this, then hit shift and deselect that. Then I'm going to let it all cut. And my peg, now if I do, I don't know why it keeps defaulting to multicolor. Now, and I shouldn't have done that. Hold on. That was dumb. Because the thing I want to deselect is not that cut. The thing I want to deselect is my peg. And this gets funky because you have to like cut, you have to kind of like break through the wall to do this and then select it.
It's like one of those FPS glitches.
Yeah, you got to glitch through the wall. It's really weird. There's a way to select things inside of things, but not to that level. That's too many things you'd be essentially cutting through. So now I will combine it so that the peg is there. Take off the multicolor. Make this gray. So now I can work on some details on the back here, leave everything else pretty much alone. And then I can print off the drill, print off the peg, print this off, glue it together. Now this one is specifically for the right hand, because there's a difference in how far away the hand hole is from one side or the other. And there's a really simple way to fix this. And you only have to do it to this one. Is you duplicate it.
Reflect
And there's a button here that'll, and now it's good.
Yeah, that was the interesting thing about bulkheads. So like if when you want to put the ball goes on one hand, if you want to put it on the other, you kind of flip it around the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully, once I test one of these tonight, it will fit. If one hand fits, the other one will be fine. So I just basically have to print this piece to test it. So we'll do something, which I'm going to delete this now because we still need to do some stuff on the back. Oh, let's do this. We got other rods and stuff. Make that center on this. Sink that in. Drag this thing down so it's below. Make it duplicate. And then maybe I'll knock it up a little bit farther. Take one of these. About 3 millimeters by 12. Down a little bit farther. Steps to there. Radius to there. 2.5. Get that a little bit closer. That's enough detail for that. One thing you want to make sure you do in this program is, like, I just want to cut the bottom off of that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I select all of this and I cut that off, I'll show you what happens. So if I put that there, so usually what will happen is then you'll get these weird artifact lines in this part that I didn't, because it selected everything and then it cut it. And sometimes you'll get these weird artifact lines. This didn't do it, thankfully, so I'm not worried about it. That's a whatever little detail to throw on there. All right. I'm going to call that good. We've been working on just this little drill setup for about an hour. So let's see. I put that there. Duplicator. Kicker that way. So now all you have to do is print 2 of these, 2 of these. These I'd probably, if I'm going to put these on Etsy, I'll print these things in bulk. Like I'll cover a build plate with these things because they'll print relatively fast and there's pretty low chances they're going to fail. Now these, however, will get print one at a time, because what I don't want to happen is when you're trying to print this, and Kira's going to try to put them next to each other like this.
Uh-huh.
You know that stringing you got on your Benji?
Oh, yeah, they're going to jump back and forth.
It will ruin the sides of a print doing that sometimes. And you can have some filaments that you can just be dead on and it won't mess them up. And you won't get any stringing, and then you'll get ones where it strings so bad that when you remove the strings, it makes the whole side look like a mess.
Ugh.
So that will be what I'm going to kick off on these 2 printers tonight. Because that one's still dead. Because I don't know what the hell's wrong with that one today. Well, for the last couple of weeks. But the Ender's going good until I rip it apart to make it into a belt machine. And this one's been fine, but it's been printing nothing but, where are they? Nothing but minigun parts. So for anybody who had been wanting to get more miniguns and been waiting for them to go on my Etsy store, the last dozen are going to go up because that spool is almost gone. Once that spool's gone, I'm going to stop making the miniguns because they've been all-consuming of my life. It's the only thing I have been printing. So yeah, let's call this the handy mandy drill. Fist. This handy manny. Wait, no. Handy Manny. It says Manny, but whatever. And if nobody gets the Handy Manny joke, I apologize. So there we go. So now the way I'll put these together, and I don't usually show this part off, is I do a little bit of leather work. So I have this big bastard, leather punch. But instead of using it as a leather punch, I take anything out of here. And I have this little piece of mouse pad that I put there. And then I'll take this dollar coin and put it there to just protect whatever I'm pushing in. And I will stack what I need to put together. Like this is how I put the miniguns together. And then crank down on this. And it will seat everything. That way I don't have to use any glue. Because I'm not a fan of glue. If I have to glue something together, it's a little bit like, that's why I like my Bumblebee Guns. which are just my little Bumblebee gun blown way the hell up. None of this is glued, but I couldn't really print it like this. It would have been forever. So that's a separate part with a key. That comes off. And then this prints standing up. And then this one, because I wanted one that had a more human handle, this and this are the same. I think I might have actually glued this one because it kept coming off. But this handle is split. And there's keys in here. Just like this square key here. So you print this side, then you print this side. Press those together with the key, glue those, and then put the second key in and shove it up into here and glue that. I think this one I did glue because it was coming apart too much. But the other one I just leave apart. I just make this one just so I can show off that it just comes apart. And then it just... And I had these at TFCon, and I said anybody wanted to buy them, I'd sell them. And only one person hit me up the day after TFCon. Like, bro. Like, it was Sunday at 9 o'clock. Everyone was gone. Why are you hitting me up? There's the little Bumblebee gun. Little Bumblebee gun. Hey, what's up, Curtis? I should make blast effects for these. Since this hole is like... How big is this hole? Because I never actually checked what the size, what happened to be the size when it was done. Let's put this thing on inches just to... that is 0.67 inches across. Just the hole. That would be some hella blast effects. So, Nick, that is it for the stuff I'm going to design tonight. I'll get those printed and post pictures like I usually do. I know I have not been putting any of these files on Thingiverse. I will at some point. Thingiverse goes down so much that it's a pain in the ass for me to upload anything because I'll go to try to upload things and all my pictures will go away or the description will get changed to the description of somebody else's model.
Really?
I'm not even kidding. It like you'll go to put up a new file in Thingiverse and it will already come with the description of like some random other thing that Thingiverse has and you have to delete it all and delete the settings they used. It's like their own system is copying. It's like just making a copy of somebody else's shit for you to put your stuff in. Makes no sense. And my mini factory pisses me off because they keep claiming that my stuff is unprintable and then I have to show them pictures like the RC gun because it's so detailed that they didn't think you could print it on an FDM machine and I proved them wrong. And now I don't even know where that damn gun is because that's what happens is I print things and then I toss them and then I print some to sell and then I forget to keep one for myself and then that's how that works. So hopefully, if you decide you want to start designing your own stuff, which don't let anybody tell you can't just print stuff and that be it.
Oh no, I totally want to design stuff. I've got so many ideas.
Cool.
So no, I definitely want to be designing stuff.
Well, and hopefully, if you are going to use this program, if you're not going to use this program, it won't affect you. But if you are going to use this program, hopefully that helped a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've watched that demo Wallisher. Yeah, I remember you doing that one, and I picked, even though I wasn't really doing it at the time, I mean, I absorbed some of that stuff, like the orientation to print your handles.
Yeah. All my handles print like this because otherwise they'll snap off. Now, sometimes though, depending on what you're printing, so like the minigun handles, it prints like this. The handle's basically on the ground. But the first few times I printed it, I was printing it with the same infill throughout. And I sent one to somebody, and they tried to plug it into Bulkhead's hand. Now, he had to shove it pretty damn hard to do this, but he crushed the handle. Because even though it was printed this way, it was only like 40% infill. So it crushed. So I grabbed one that was sitting here, and I went to go see how hard it would be to break it. And it was a kind of hot day, and it broke. So like somebody playing with it might break it. So I redid these so that there's a way in Cura that you can change what the infill is in certain areas.
I just watched that video just earlier tonight.
So this handle and all of the bottom of this thing,
solid,
all the way up about this high, are dead ass solid. That is 100% infill, hard as a rock. Everything else is the standard 40%, so that the thing doesn't take up a half a spool of filament and weigh 10 pounds. And now you're not breaking that.
Right.
Unless you give them to a kid, but you shouldn't give 3D printed shit to a kid anyway.
I'm sure somebody will break it if you give them a challenge.
Well, like, I only have one set of these left. This is the shattered glass upgrade, but in green for the G2 Megatron.
Mm-hmm.
I only printed like 5 of these, and I stopped selling them because I had there's actually supposed to be 2 more pieces in this bag that aren't in here. The reason they're not in there is because I tested them to see how easily they would break. These were never meant for somebody to play with all the time, and some grandmother literally bought the set of these for their like 6-year-old son to play with, who immediately broke these off. So immediately, everyone's seen enough of this. We'll just go to talkie mode. Immediately snapped this off because they print like this, so that these pins can be supported, which means the layer lines are here.
So the barrels are,
which makes the barrels a little bit fragile.
Yeah.
And immediately just snapped this whole piece off and demanded a refund. And I'm like, it says you don't give these to kids. I don't give out refunds. Now for the minigun, when the guy showed me the problem with the minigun, I went ahead and gave him a refund because that wasn't his fault.
That was a design flaw.
That was a little bit of a design flaw. He's the only person that's ever happened to. So, I mean, I'm not worried about the other ones. And if anybody else ever has that problem, I'll probably just send them a new base if I have any left, and they can swap over the barrels. But yeah, so print orientation is very, very important. And since you had one earlier, there's my little
that's your Benji.
Translucent green Benji from long ago.
The hello world of 3D printing.
Yep. So if you notice when you look at yours, you can kind of see these weird wavy lines in it.
Yeah.
So what that is if you print your walls first, then you print your infill, or you add an extra wall, then you won't see that. That's actually the orientation of where it's printing the infill and it's bumping the sidewalls.
Yeah. Well, it's my first
time. Pretty good for the first thing you printed.
Yeah, I used your settings, so
yeah, it's my fault. I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm getting at. The name on the back came out pretty good. The bottom, like I said, was definitely bed wasn't quite level, but overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, I'm not gonna it's not a museum piece or anything.
Do I have any? I used to have so many calibration cubes sitting around, and my youngest daughter loves taking them. And I think she's literally come in here and taken all of them. But that's what it is.
Well, what's funny is I was going to print that first but for some reason I guess I must have accidentally spun the dial and chose Benji instead. And I'm like, okay.
The interface on the Ender 3 I don't like as much. The stock interface. There's an upgrade, and I have the upgrade. I've never used it.
Yeah.
So the Tronxy here. I'll see if I can pull my camera down and show you. I'm gonna kick on this Tronxy and show you what you see on a Tronxy when you do this. Even though the screen is the same screen, and that's how it starts up. It's so patriotic.
Mike Rawson is asking, does Benji float?
It can.
Yeah, I don't know if this little one that I made will float, but I was looking. Somebody out there has got a kit to make scale this up, and it's like remote controlled, so you can actually take it out on the water.
Yeah.
So
this is what the Trunksy looks like. And if I'm gonna do the solid minigun handle base, that one's not set up right. Let me see. Let me find a different one. Nope. Some of these are older things. No.
Yeah, we can't really see what they are, so don't worry about secrets.
I don't know. There's no secret. Well, there might be one thing, but I don't think anybody in the chat works for the ATF. There we go. So there's a way with a Trunksy where you can get an image preview of what you're printing.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
You can't do that on that Ender 3 screen because it's too screen's set up too basic.
Yeah, it's just LCD.
Everybody's gonna get seasick with my camera going nuts. Yeah, good enough. So that's one thing I do like about the Trunksies is that screen. But the other, I think, with the upgraded screen module on the Ender, it'll do it too. We had my daughter has had several of the Benchies in the bathtub. They float funky though because they're like front heavy, so they'll like sit like this.
Yeah. So speaking of upgrades, I while you're doing this, I went ahead to put the rubbish upgrades on.
I was tempted to get one of those, but I do not have a second one of him. And I went to go look to get a second one of him, and I am not paying that kind of money.
Right. Well, I happened to get a second one before. I just figured, hey, let's get a second Red Guard because you can have them ride. Maybe you can custom or something. Then they came out with Junk Heap. I was like, I didn't really need a Red Guard, but I'm glad I got it because then I could do this.
If I see another Junk Heap somewhere, I have one on the way. Problem is I had a whole bunch of stuff with Big Bad Toy Store that was pre-orders that I kept dropping directly to my loot pile over the last 4 months. But they only or maybe it's 3 months, but they only let you keep stuff in your loot pile for 3 months. And then they're like, all right, you have 9 days left to ship this. So I had to ship everything finally, even though I still have other stuff. So that's why I've had Junk Heap for a month. I just haven't shipped him.
Right.
So I might, if I see one in the store, I might get another Junk Heap and see what they make for an upgrade for him.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this one does not work with them, or at least not all of it.
Yeah.
Basically, everything but the chest would probably work with it because it uses his nipple guns to attach the chest. You probably pop those out, and they've got little ball pegs.
Oh, okay.
And Junk Heap doesn't have those, so. But I mean, the little ankles, or the ankle or knee guards, which could also be elbow guards. These extra little fill pieces here, the guns, the head, even everything else would work fine, but the chest won't work with Junk Heap.
Got you. I wonder if they will come out with one for Junk Heap. I don't know. Hopefully. Yeah, if they don't, they don't. I picked up this today. My Titan Returns one. I never had the Titan Returns one. So I was like, I'll get it. It was $30. Yeah. And it has everything, including the Headmaster.
Cool.
And then
basically like Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus heavy retool.
Yeah, I don't have that one either. The only Ultra Magnus I think I have is the Siege and the Earthrise ones. And then, of course, this beauty came today. Or not today, came yesterday.
Oh, nice.
And the colors are vivid. That's the best word I can describe. The gray is not gray; it's gunmetal.
I got one of those. I got a Cyclonus too. Except I was able to finally get my New Age. Yeah. You talking about bot sitting there for months? He's been sitting there for about 2 months, and nothing else came in.
Yeah.
And about every 3 months or so, I get an extra paycheck. That's not taken up by bills and whatnot. So I finally had a little bit extra and threw on a few extra bots to get him shipped.
That's not bad. That works out. I keep looking at Show Z because they have that damn IDW Cyclonus. But he's like $65, and something in my brain
Oh, the version of the New Age one?
I think it's the New Age one, and it punches me in the face every time I think about spending $65 on a Legends class figure.
Oh, you got to get used to that nowadays for Legends class.
I know. It's like, do I really want to go third party? I'm gonna have to spend $65 on a.
It was a lot more fun when Iron Factory first got it started because they were going for about 25 or 30. That was a lot more justifiable.
I would gladly pay probably up to $40. I think I've bought some Legends figures up to $40. I'd pay $40 for Legends figures of that depth and how cool they are all day long.
Yeah,
but you get above that, and it starts going like, can I justify this one? But I used to have the same problem with Titans. When I bought Black Zarek, or not Black Zarek, Scorponok, I fought with myself for 2 weeks before I bought him, and then I was like, oh, I'll get it. But then get around to the Arc, and I bought 2 of them.
I'm familiar with that fight.
It's the like, is it big enough to be justifiable? Because I look at it like this: the engineering's great. I'm not going to lie, and I get that that's part of the cost. But a little Legends class dude about this big being $65, I paid less than that for this.
Right.
And I have the other one, the blue and white one, and I paid less than $65 for that. So, like, this is a big boy, and there's some engineering in here.
Yeah, well, you know, I think for the third party stuff, it's not just the engineering and the paint job or anything like that. It's also much smaller lots. The production runs are way smaller, so and it takes at least as much R&D as a Hasbro figure, if not more. And then they're not selling nearly as many. So to make up even just a fraction of what Hasbro can make off of them.
I know their justification, and I completely agree with their justification.
Yeah, I mean,
it's being justified.
It still hurts. I mean, I understand it. It still hurts dropping $80 on a little Legends class or 120 for that Optimus Prime. Ooh.
I got the version 1 of that one for $65 with the trailer, and I'm happy to say that yeah.
Oh yeah, the Magic Square. Yeah, I went out on the New Age one too. That's honestly stick with your Magic Square. That's plenty good enough.
Yeah, for what I'm going to do now. I do have the I think it's the Iron Factory. God, why do I? Oh, I have Sea Spray and I have.
Oh, right. Surfing Arrow.
Yeah, and then there's the other one that I can't ever remember his name, and he's an A10 Warthog.
Power Glide. Power Falcon, I think they call it.
Yeah. And those two, stylized, whatever, they are so good.
Very cool little figures. Indeed. And their Beachcomber, too. Bay Razor, I think it was. Man, when I first got that, I had him in. He's got rubber tires. I had him in his little dune buggy mode. And I'm sitting there in meetings, just zoom, 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 racing it back and forth on my desk in front of my keyboard as I'm listening to meetings. Oh, that's great.
I didn't get that yet. I didn't even earlier today when in the chat when somebody dropped the Grimlock. I was like, I've seen that Grimlock. I don't want to spend $100 and something on or $200 on a Grimlock that turns into a samurai until I realized that was a Legends class figure and he's like $55.
Is that all they're charging for him?
Yes. Let me see here. Let me look at.
I haven't even looked him up. I figured they, even though I know he's a Legends class and Iron Factor, I figured they would probably be going at least $80 because they have had some of their figures get pretty high. Like I got like the Super Ultra Magnus one, which was like $90 because he's gigantic.
Let me see if I can find that link that somebody put in there. But no, I'm pretty sure that the pre-order price for that was like $55, and I was like, okay, I wasn't spending $200 on him. And I'll share the screen for this in a second when I find it, just so everybody sees what we're talking about. Although I'll probably end up shooting myself in the foot because everybody's going to go run and buy the damn thing before I talk myself into buying it.
I'm racing over there myself.
Oh, God. Scroll. There's too many fucking people in this chat now. see, this was way earlier. Here we go. This guy put up this YouTube video, but I'm going to pause his YouTube video so that I can click on his link. And now I will go back to the screen share. $53.99.
Wow.
I thought this was the big version because I've seen the big version of this somewhere. Never knew that this was. I'd never seen this Legends version.
Well, I've seen that announced. I haven't seen it in person in production.
Because I could have swore I saw a version of this that has that like rounded snout, the one that Kato has.
Oh, that's Planet X, and that's like masterpiece size.
Right, and I swear I've seen one of those. It was the Planet X one with the rounded snout and this samurai stuff on it, and it was like $200.
Really?
But this,
I don't think I've seen that.
like $55. If that's all it is.
It's torn because I'm torn because I really love Iron Factory, and I think that figure looks cool, but I'm not in on that samurai line. You know,
I'm not either. Like I've looked at some of the other samurai ones, and I don't really like them. Like the band Bonzatron, I don't really like him.
Yeah, and the bludgeon and
the bludgeon, the bludgeon, I don't really like it. Shockingly, I don't like this Cyclonus. I almost thought about buying it, but something about it I don't like. I think it's the side skirts.
Yeah, I got that one just because that's the only Cyclonus they offer, and he's not very good. He looks good in pictures, but for a toy, it's not that great.
Yeah. I'm not really digging the samurai stuff.
Yeah. So I usually get my stuff from Chosen Prime, and that Grimlock's going for about $80 over there.
Really?
Yeah. That's more what I expected for the size that he is.
Yeah. Let me move that over so that nobody sees what happens when I autofill this sign-in page over here real quick.
Elite's saying might get the CBL RC. Is that the big Firebird, that Nicey knockoff?
Yeah, it's the Nicey knockoff. They make 3 different ones. They make the actual RC looking one with the better RC head. They make the Catwoman one, and then there's another one.
All right.
And I thought about getting them too.
That's a cool little figure.
Good night, Raz. Yeah, I have Nicey and I have Mocha. I have not done the review on Mocha.
Did you found Mocha? So I thought you lost it for a little while.
Yeah. People like to move things, and I was positive it was still in the box and thrown away. And when I found it, it was still in that box, but it was not thrown away. It was put actually back in this cabinet on the bottom shelf. I don't remember putting it there, so somebody put it there.
Yeah, I lose a lot of stuff when I get help cleaning up too.
Yeah, except it happens when I'm not here.
Oh.
Like, I will come home from work and somebody will say, "Look, I cleaned." And I go, "Where's all my shit?"
Like, no.
Stop touching my stuff. It's kind of how that happens.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I might have to. Problem is, like, I don't want the pre-order to. I'm so used to Hasbro's damn pre-orders selling out that I'm like, because I only get paid once a month. So I'm like, do I wait until August 1st and buy it? Because I can't remember. I think Show Z, when you pre-order, you pay now.
Mm.
And then it gives me an excuse to buy the. Which one is it? Is it this one? No, that one's clear. I am not deluxe. I do not collect clear toys. But that being said, this Cyclonus,
Right.
I need this Cyclonus.
Yeah, that's the same one I got, but with the IDW head and colors.
So that Cyclonus already has the sword I made for Cyclonus.
Right.
And it is so close that I'm like, I need him with his sword so I can have him with not this purple version of the sword. I don't know why I printed it fully in purple. Sometimes I print stuff in weird colors just to burn filament out. With his sword, and then I want to print this again for the new Cyclonus. But I got to see if I have a dark enough color. I don't want to use black, but I'm considering buying the most gunmetal looking gray I can find to print it for him. So,
Yeah.
Because that Cyclonus is so good.
You know, I actually got an upgrade kit many years ago. You remember that? It was like the Universe Cyclonus. It was actually like in the Reveal the Shield line. It was like a Cyclonus and Hot Rod set.
Yes,
and you know, I want to say it was Make Toys. They made a tailgate that came with upgrade parts for that Cyclonus. And that tailgate was fantastic. But you know, I never put the parts on Cyclonus. I have them, so I can make that IDW Cyclonus if I just.
There are so many Make Toys sets that I wish I was more of an adult back then and would have had the money to buy.
No, I'm glad that I had, you know, broken into actually buying third party stuff when that stuff came out. Like their Swerve is fantastic, and My First Blaster. It's hilarious.
See, the only version of Swerve I actually have, now that I think about it, are these goofy things?
No, I've got them. The eye gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like them, but the color is so weird.
Oh, so wrong. It's like salmon.
Yeah, like salmon pink. They're not bad toys, though. I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like giant versions of the G1 toys with more articulation.
Yeah. So if anybody in the chat ever sees these eye gear guys, I got these at TFCon in 2019.
Yeah.
I got both of them for $5
Nice.
from one of the vendors. They just had like bags of random crap.
Well, that was a deal. I paid full price for them. I don't know. I might have got them on sale a bunch of years ago.
I think that's the only.
That was when I was first getting into third party before I knew better.
Yeah, I think now I'm thinking about it. I think that is the only Swerve I have. Because I don't think I've ever seen any of the other ones. Like, I definitely don't have a G1. Well, I do. So I do technically because I bought the reissues. So I have, I think, all of the reissue mini bots because I saw they were on sale one day. I found them on Amazon for like $9 a piece. So I just went ahead and bought all of them. I got the young one. I got her a Bumblebee because she loves Bumblebee because kids always love Bumblebee. I haven't given it to her. I'll wait till she's a little older because she's only 5.
Yeah, I think Bumblebee's the only one of those that I picked up.
Yeah, I ended up. I think I have all of them. They're put up somewhere because they're still in the cards.
Right.
I don't usually keep things in boxes, but I just haven't. I figured I've got a little section of this. It's just G1 stuff, and I don't care if it's new G1 or reissue. It's going with the G1 stuff, but it's too full.
Right.
Like, it's only enough space in the Detolf that like Jetfire's head almost touches because I've raised a shelf up. Let's see if I can. Yeah. So it's this top shelf here.
Right.
because I had to raise the shelf up for his big ass. Because that Predaking is awesome, but he is very tall.
Yep. I've got him out. I've got nowhere for him. He's just sitting out on my my work table right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
He's fully toy hacks. He looks great with that set on.
Yeah. I don't have the toy hacks, but he's like the first Titan I ever got.
Yeah.
And then there's one shelf that's low enough above me that I can put Titans on it. There's only one shelf though. So it right now only has Omega Supreme, Devastator, Triptychon, and it had him on here. But I have been busy trying to get certain things to fit on him.
Right.
Which I really wish they would have given more pegs here because I'm going to have to make adapters. I got everything printed off, and I can put 4 things right here, right here, right here, right here. But that puts everything too close. Wait, I just realized I did that off camera. For here, for here, for here, for here. I can put all 4 of those things there, but now they're all close together.
Yeah, it's all jumbled.
So I'm going to make little 90-degree adapters for these pieces back here so that they'll stand up over here.
Cool.
And I was going to make all new ones, but I looked at it, and the G1 ones that are over there somewhere, not yours, those are locked away, they actually, size-wise, look great on this.
Really?
I was going to upscale them, but it makes him look smaller. So using the actual, like the G1 remakes that I just made, I just need to make an adapter so that you can plug them into this back piece. And I was going to send them to you, but now you can just print them yourself. Because I was going to send them to you with your parts.
Right.
But you don't need that.
Yeah, just send me the files.
Getting those to print is a pain in the ass. I had to clean up because I was on a conference call yesterday. And they were sitting back here. Yeah, here they are. So, there's that piece.
Nice.
Which that one doesn't print bad. Orientation-wise, he prints like this. So it takes away a little bit from the front face. I don't know if you can see the weird layer shift. Not shift, but like...
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of the diamond pattern or something.
Yeah, it's you can kind of, because it's only one layer on top to put all that detail, you can definitely like just see the layers, or you could see the print lines. So I got to tweak that a little bit. And then this fucking piece right here is the hardest damn thing to print because I have to print it like this. Because when I try to print it like this piece right here, that angle, which this is dead ass exact copy of the original one, that angle gets all jagged. So I have to print it like this, which means this right here got all jagged. So this is why when you see me printing or when I make the handles, I always slice that 0.5 millimeter off the bottom. Because you can support a flat section. You can't support a round part very well.
Right.
You see how it's deformed?
Yeah.
That's why. So it's like I have to figure out what's going to be the better balance of getting that to print. Do I either figure out a way to make that not look as jagged, and then it prints like this, and it might break right here, or do I just add a flat spot there, and that just be, okay, had to be done, and print it like this? It's the dilemma. So welcome aboard. Oh, there's this one.
Cool.
And this one.
Right. I always thought that one looked like that little robot from Nintendo.
It does. And I keep thinking, like, is this thing a little like surveillance drone or something. Like what was that supposed to be? Because
Yeah.
if you look at those G1 parts, I would. Well, you can't because I have them. But if you look at the G1 parts, it's
Just
like
keep rubbing it in. Go ahead.
this one looks like a TV.
Right.
This looks like a. Wait, no. Yeah, this looks like a stoplight. This looks like an old drive-in movie theater box, the speaker box on the podium.
Right. Yeah.
And then this damn thing just looks like a little robot. And I wonder if that's like, just throw some stuff in there. It's a city. It has city stuff. I wonder if that's what they did.
It's something that looked robotic and city-like, so that's what they did.
Yeah.
It was the 80s.
Looking at pictures of the original Scorponok and then messing around with this thing more. I really wish they would have done more of the gimmicks of like that little elevator and the little gripper arms on the leg panels. They could have.
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, there's enough, I'm not going to say hollowness, but there's enough like material there that they could have chunked that out a little bit and put in those little orange arms and that little, maybe not the elevator, that might have been a little much, but.
And it doesn't take out that much of the leg. I mean, it's just really just the panel there just covers the one side, and then it's not that hollow underneath. It's just more just textured.
Right. But I don't understand why they did this at all. Like, you can't do it like this. It doesn't look right.
Right.
You put this like this, and then you've got this walkway here, but it doesn't carry over. Weird design choices with Scorponok. Unless maybe you do it like this.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had them in base mode.
The only reason I have them in base mode was just to see where I could put those things. Because, like, since I have them.
Heck, I don't think I've even had Triptychon in base mode all these years.
I did it once. And then I put him in. I put him in the weird spaceship mode once.
Right, I haven't done that either. He's just been standing there as a dinosaur.
Yeah, and then I ripped his hips apart to see if I got the bad hips or not once.
I didn't even do that. I guess I'll find out. I'm gonna find out at some point when it's way too late.
Right. Well, actually, no, because they do make a 3D file.
I thought I remembered something like that. I did get a second one though when he was like on like $50 at Ollie's, so I've got a backup. Unless I decide to sell it.
So scale-wise, they work.
Yeah, that's fine. Anything bigger?
None of these are 5mm ports.
Ah.
They're all screw holes. They're not ports. Like these up here, this here, that's a screw hole, and that's a screw hole. But there's a screw hole back here that if I make a little 90-degree adapter, would set this like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm going to have to do.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. But yeah, actually scaling them up they would look ridiculous.
Right. And I've seen someone who scaled them up, and that's when I was like, wait, maybe I shouldn't do this, because I saw somebody made upgraded ones for him, and I was looking at them, and they're tall. They're chunkier. You know what I mean? They're taller, and it makes him look smaller. So I think the best bet I'm going to do for that is there will be, when I upload the files, it will be the 1-to-1 G1s and a separate file for adapter pieces to put him on that version.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go, having the adapters be separate, so that way you can still pick and choose where you want to put them.
Yeah. Now, if I ever decide to sell them, I'll print them in 2 different colors, because I have this gold. Well, it's like a bronze. It's on the side of this roller.
Nice.
And if I print them in that, you could put them on Black Xeric.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I bet
a bunch of these things in silver I don't think would look right. And I don't like printing things in black that have a lot of detail to them because it gets lost.
Right.
Hey, Chauncey, you just in time. I was about to get off here in a minute. Been at this almost 2 hours. And I finished designing the thing half hour ago.
Yeah, I was sitting there looking, and it's like, oh, there's only 2 watching. I think that's just us 2. I think we were just talking to each other by ourselves for a while there.
Yeah, I think so.
That's fine. That's fine.
That's how my streams go. That's why I throw the invite out, and if nobody wants to come, that's fine. I don't. It's whatever. Some nights I have done these a couple where there was like 30. There was like 30 people in one of them, and it was give me an idea. What do you want to do with this? What kind of thing should we make?
Yeah. Yeah, people are throwing out ideas. I let my people know on Thursday that I got the 3D printer, so people are already throwing out all sorts of ideas. I'm like, slow down. I haven't even built the damn thing yet.
I will warn you. Now, this is a personal deal, but I will warn you against taking commission.
No, I'm not anywhere near. I haven't even started anything yet.
Oh, I know.
Nobody should even pay me for anything. I mean, unless they want this.
They want some benchies.
Yeah, I'll give you a poorly printed Benji.
I've seen people selling benchies on Etsy. Not even kidding.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, you literally tested your filament and then put it on Etsy for like $10.
Hey, more power to them. You know, people aren't in the 3D printing game. They don't know. They just think it's a cute little boat.
The one thing that gets you is like there's certain things that I have that I will never put on Etsy, like these card holders.
Yeah, those are cool.
I can't. They take, because they print standing up like this. One of these takes, I think, 8.5 hours to print.
Ooh.
There ain't no money to be made there, because I'm like looking at it like, if I was to sell these, that would be like, in order to sell these to a point where somebody would want them to put their cards in, $5 a piece. But it's going to take me 8 hours to print them, and then I got to clean them up.
That's you're not making money.
No, I mean, it's not that I do all this for the money, because for a long time I didn't even sell prints, but like, it's more the time it takes away from me being able to do anything else. Because like the rollers, right? Or not the rollers, the miniguns.
Right.
That printer's down, so I can't use that one. That printer has been printing the base pieces in green up until yesterday. Was every time I would come in this room, I'd knock one off, hit print. Knock one off, hit print. Knock one off, hit print. And then I would go do the cleanup. And then the Ender 3 had been doing the handles and the barrels constantly. Well, those are the only 2 printers I have working, so I can't. There's no point in me sitting here and designing anything else. I can't test it.
Right.
If I had like a 20 printer print farm and I had designated machines for prototyping, that'd be one thing. But that ain't what I got. Oh, Mike Rosen's still here. That's who it was. If you had the stream up on one side, Mike was the other person.
Yep, that's what it was.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you for sticking around this long. Seriously.
Yeah.
And Chauncey, I'm sorry you had to spend time with your stupid family, as you put it. I know how that goes. I avoid the stupid ones in my family. Now I just sit home with the kids. And of course, thank you for joining me tonight, Hoist.
Yeah, it was fun.
You had fun, learned anything at all?
Well, I think I was a little too focused on my own little project to really learn too much, but yeah, I get the general gist. I'll learn by doing at some point.
So let's see. Yeah, it's been almost 2 hours, and it's almost midnight, and I am tired. So
I concur.
Thank you, everybody. Go find Hoist and go subscribe to Hoist. And if you play the Transformers mobile game, definitely watch Hoist. Definitely watch Hoist because he will teach you everything you need to know to play that game. Among other things, it's just this is the man.
Yep, I occasionally review figures, and actually, some of the stuff that I want to get designed is they got some pretty cool weapons in the game. I never really paid attention until I was looking at it the other day. I was like, that might be cool.
Nice.
some of the weapons out of there. So
It's not a bad idea. Definitely not a bad idea.
we'll see. We'll see. No time frame on that, and enough lollygagging. Let's get out of here.
All right. So good night, everybody.
Good night.